Turan, Kwande local government area of Benue State. The killings have sparked fresh outrage over the worsening security situation in that area. The attack, which residents say was carried out on Tuesday afternoon, occurred at the Abande market while traders and buyers were conducting business. Witnesses said the assailants stormed the market, opened fire on civilians, looted shops and set parts of the market ablaze. Benue's terror attack, Sagir Ibrahim, is live on ground and in no time will be giving us more updates. But in the meantime, President Bola Tinubu says perpetrators of the recent killings in Kwara State will not go scot-free. Tinubu spoke on Thursday when Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak visited the State House in Abuja to discuss the violent attacks in the Kayama local government area. Now, on Wednesday, no fewer than 75 residents were killed, with several houses set ablaze when terrorists attacked the Nuku and Wara communities in the local government area. Abdulrazak had attributed the violent attacks to Islamic fundamentalists. Tinubu subsequently ordered the deployment of an army battalion to the LGA. Speaking after a meeting at the State House, the governor proposed that the federal government had Operation Savannah Shield to curb the activities.
And also to thank him for the prompt action taken by the president by establishing Operation Savannah Shield. That will go a long way in deterring and bringing calm to the region in Kwara State. So I speak to you, the first commander for Operation Savannah Shield has reported in Kwara State, Ilorin, today, and is hitting the ground running, and we rely on the military to do what they do best. The president has directed the armed forces to move in and to clean out the place and make sure peace and calm is restored.
Many thanks for staying with us. Now let's head to Turan in Benue State, where we did mention that several persons have been reportedly killed in an attack by suspected armed headmen on a Bande settlement in Mbaikyo Ward, Turan, Kwande local government area. And of course, News Central's Sagir Ibrahim is live in Turan village as we speak to give us more on the story. Sagir, it's a very sad development. What more can you tell us about the development?
Well, good afternoon, Blessings. It's been a few days since that ugly incident happened. Casualty figures around 16 to 17. We are currently in front of the Turan Divisional Police Headquarters in Jatuaka here in Turan. Kwande local government area of Benue State. If you can see from the visuals on your screen, you'll see that there's quite a number of activity going on, but most especially is the presence of vehicles, pickup trucks, and armored personnel carrier is currently present at the moment, and you can also see that there are mattresses on top of one of those pickup trucks. This is supposed to serve as relief materials, which will be distributed to residents of these communities who were attacked and, of course, affected by this attack. You can see the policemen are in formation. They are preparing. What we're doing now is expecting the arrival of the local government chairman who will be following us in this convoy to that community. At the moment, there's a meeting going on, a strategic security meeting going on inside of the divisional headquarters with a deputy commissioner of police from the Benue State Police Command, as well as some other senior police officers from the Benue State Command in that office right now, trying to hash out logistical plans before we proceed. At any moment now, we'll be on our way into Abande community, the community that was attacked on the 3rd of February. Now, these are the developments. Now, you'd recall that when this incident happened, the governor of the state, Hyacinth Halia, had given a directive that that security be deployed to the area and that also those responsible for the attack be hunted down, investigated, and of course, brought to book. So for now, we're in the process of mobilizing. In a few minutes, hopefully within the hour, we'll be deploying. And the next time I would be coming on the screen is to give live updates from the location of the attacks and hopefully to speak with residents of the communities as well as others who witnessed this ugly incident happen. It's back to you, Blessings.
All right, Sagir Ibrahim there in Kwande local government area on the tragic attack in that region, and definitely we're looking forward to seeing how this turns out. Now, the federal government has launched the scale-up of the Nigeria for Women program. a major initiative aimed at boosting women's economic participation nationwide. The presidential launch took place at the banquet hall of a State House Conference Center in Abuja, with Vice President Kashim Shettima representing President Bola Tinubu. News Central State House correspondent Bettina Nweli joins us now to give more update. Bettina, what is the core objective of the Nigeria for Women program, the Scale Up project?
All right, thank you very much, Blessings. Now, the core objective of the Nigeria for Women program Scale Up project is to economically empower Nigerian women on a national scale by removing the structural barriers that limit their participation in the economy. Now, this program focuses on improving women's access to finance, skills development, market opportunities, and institutional support, particularly for women in low-income, rural, and underserved communities. Now, through organized women's groups, digital platforms, and partnerships with state governments and development institutions, the project aims to help women start, grow, and sustain income-generating businesses, strengthen financial inclusion, and enhance productivity. Ultimately, the initiative is designed to reduce poverty, boost household incomes, and position women as active contributors to Nigeria's economic growth rather than passive recipients of social support.
So how does empowering women economically translate into benefits for families and communities?
Well, Blessings, like they say, you train a woman, you've trained a full community. Empowering women economically creates a powerful multiplier effect. When women earn stable incomes or run successful businesses, they are more likely to invest in their children's education, nutrition, healthcare, leading to healthier households and better long-term outcomes for the next generation. Now, at the family level, women's economic participation improves household resilience, helping families better cope with economic shocks such as inflation, job losses, or health emergencies. And also at the community level, empowered women stimulate local economies by creating jobs, supporting local supply chains, and increasing demands for goods and services. Strong women's groups also foster social cohesion, collective savings, and community problem solving. Over time, this contributes to reduced poverty, improved growth, and making women's empowerment a critical driver of sustainable national development.
All right, Bettina Nweli there on the update from the meeting, and definitely News Central is still on ground to find out what's happening. Now, let's still stay in Abuja, where the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission says that work on a new revenue allocation formula for political office holders is nearing completion. Chairman of the Commission, Mohammed Shehu, says the proposed formula, covering both vertical and horizontal the revenue sharing among the three tiers of government, is expected to be finalized within the year and presented to relevant authorities. News Central's Idong Joseph joins us live for this story from Abuja. Idong Joseph, what key changes are being proposed in the new revenue allocation formula?
Well, the meeting yesterday, it wasn't clearly stated what changes are going to be made in the new review that the Commission is undertaking at the moment. But I would like you to know that the session yesterday was not an interrogative session, neither was it an interactive session between lawmakers to get more details on this review process. They only hinted lawmakers as they came yesterday to give appraisal of their 2025 budget and also make presentation of the budget for the current proposal for the current year. So in terms of what changes are being made in the review that is ongoing, that wasn't clearly stated. The only thing they mentioned was that it has been, they've already concluded an aspect of that and transmitted to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, which later will be transferred to the President and then back to the House for them to review and then pass it into law. For now, it wasn't clear what changes are going to be made, but we hope that when all of this process is done, we will get to see what changes are being made compared to what currently exists.
So what timeline has the Commission given for the final approval and implementation? What processes are remaining before it takes effect?
Well, in terms of implementation, we wouldn't know what timeline that implementation will commence, except when the review process, the whole aspect of the review process is done, and then it becomes law. That is when we hope that immediately it will, the implementation will commence. Just as they said, within the year. So we hope that it could be any time, because there was no specific date on when the whole process is going to be done. And same thing, we hope that at the end of it, if they keep to their word and at the end of this year they finish, then we hope that by January next year, implementation will commence. But in terms of implementation, no specific date also to when implementation is going to commence, except the whole of this process is done, and then it becomes law, the new revenue formula for states, local governments, and even the federal government, and as well as political office holders, as they stated that that review is concerning especially ministers being appointed by the president. So except all of that is done before we know when implementation is going to start.
All right, Chidong Joseph there with the update. You're still live with us on the 12 report. We go on a short break. When we come back, former Education Minister Obi Ezekwesili faults senators over results transmission rules in Electoral Act amendment. We've got the details after the break. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, as artificial intelligence continues to reshape how people work and do business, concerns are growing about how prepared young Nigerians are for the changing job market. In Lokoja, a digital skills training now in its second day is drawing attention to the wider conversation around youth employability and access to future-ready skills. News Central's correspondent Mono Balagbobo is live in Lokoja and gives us more. Mono, what is the focus of this training and why does it really matter at this time?
Good afternoon, blessings. This training is very important because it is about equipping the youths, with the digital skills that they need to thrive there. And the training is tagged productivity, efficiency, and profitability. And, it started yesterday, but I was able to join in today. And I must tell you that I wish I was here because it was just all about, equipping these young ones. Some of the participants I spoke with, they started giving testimonies that they've started, getting jobs and making money. And I think it is something that is very important. One of the facilitators who we will be speaking with shortly was mentioning the fact that almost 95% of Kogi youths are not aware or they are not used to AI tools and how they can actually use it to scale up their employability status. So we're going to have one of the conveners of the program who will speak with us. Sir, can you just come to the shot quickly? Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Please, can we meet you properly?
Yeah, I'm Ayowande Ayokwemi. I'm the Director General Asiwaju Ashiru Foundation.
So can you just talk to us about how youths can actually close the digital gap skills in Kogi State? Because one of the facilitators, earlier this morning mentioned the fact that almost 95% of Kogi youths, do not actually know how to make use of this tool. So what are the various skills that people have been able to learn so far?
As a foundation, let me say the foundation is the brainchild of the Honorable Commissioner of Finance, Budget and Economic Planning Kogi State, whose foundation's core aim is to serve humanity, is to bridge societal gaps. And through our research, we were able to observe the inequality in access to digital skills among the youth demography. And after we observed that gap, we decided to organize this training, which we all know that ICT is the new oil, is the new gold mine. So we must explore the space for our youth to be empowered. And one of the digital tools we are training the youth with today is AI. And we know AI is usable in every areas of our lives, every area of our economic sector. Anywhere you are working, there's need for you to have the knowledge of AI because it won't only boost your service delivery, your efficiency, it will help you in terms of profitability. That means we are empowering you to be self-reliant. So as you argue, the commissioner is not just giving you fish. He's telling you, I want to teach you how to fish.
All right. Thank you very much for speaking with us. Now, Blessings, just like he made mention of, he talked about the fact that it is not just about productivity now, but profitability. But let's speak to Ashe Dabaye, who is one of the key facilitators and also an engineer at Wheezy AI Tech Ventures. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good to have you.
So we're talking about employability and how you can see.
Mono, unfortunately, we can't hear you at this time. We're hoping that we're able to come back to speak with you. But in the meantime, let's go to one of our top stories. Nigeria's major opposition parties on Thursday have condemned the Senate's handling of Electoral Act amendments, warning that refusal to mandate real-time upload of results threatens democracy. The PDP, ADC and NNPP accused the APC-led Senate of preserving loopholes and betraying public trust after retaining Section 60 of the 2022 law. Some senators, led by Einaya Abaribe, denied rejecting electronic transmission, blaming procedural confusion and insisting the legislative process remains incomplete. Now, INEC said Nigerians want real-time voting transparency, while Peter Obi described the move as dangerous ahead of the 2027 polls. The Senate also approved shorter election timelines, adopting OF-BVAS and tougher fines for vote buying as the conference committee weighs harmonization. Now, in the same vein, former Minister of Education Obiageli Ezekwesili has criticized the National Assembly over its handling of amendments to the Electoral Act on result transmission. She made the remarks in a public memo shared on her social media account on the 6th of February. Ezekwesili said lawmakers retained a provision that leaves the method and timing of transmitting election results to the discretion of the Independent National Electoral Commission. She argued that the decision followed the rejection of a proposal for mandatory real-time electronic uploads from polling units. She also linked the retained clause to disputes from the 2023 general elections, when electronic transmission was expected but not consistently applied. Now, she said the gap between expectation and law weakened confidence in the process. Ezekwesili called on legislators to reconvene and adopt clear provisions on the transmission of results. She said transparent electoral laws remain critical to future elections and public trust. Going back now to security, the United States has condemned the killings in Kwara State and expressed support for Nigeria's security response ordered by the president. Police confirmed at least 75 people were killed in assault on Woro and Nuku communities, while the U.S. mission said more than 160 were found dead and many remain missing. The UN and Turkey also denounced the attack and called for justice. Security agencies have deployed additional military and police units under Operation Savannah Shield, launched a manhunt for perpetrators, and begun relief efforts for affected communities. Meanwhile, Nigeria's defense headquarters state the security partnership with the U.S. centers on capacity building, military training, intelligence sharing, logistics, and strategic talks against terrorism. This follows reports of a small U.S. military team deployed to augment Nigerian efforts after Christmas Day strikes on militants. Director of Defense Information, Major General Samaria Uba, emphasized all cooperation respects Nigeria's sovereignty under bilateral agreements. The armed forces remain committed to territorial integrity while partnering transparently. U.S. Africa Command's General Dagvin Anderson confirmed increased collaboration with unique U.S. capabilities. All right, we'll be having a security analyst join us shortly, Darlington Umoru, who's based in Lagos, to join us to discuss more on this topic. But in the meantime, we'll go on a short break. When we come back, we've got more stories. Stay with us. Now, United States President Donald Trump has disclosed that America coordinated Christmas Day airstrikes on ISIS terrorists in Sokoto with Nigeria's government. Speaking at the National Prayer Breakfast in Washington, D.C., Trump said he ordered the powerful strikes to decimate militants, slaughtering thousands of Christians, hitting them hard on December 25 to send a clear message. He praised Nigerian First Lady Senator Oluremi Tinubu, a respected pastor at one of Nigeria's largest churches, who attended the event, with global faith leaders. Trump emphasized the operation's precision, noting it followed his specific instructions amid ongoing threats. The Pentagon confirmed multiple ISIS terrorists were killed at Nigeria's request. Now, the new commissioner of police in Plateau State, Bassi Ewa, says he will maintain zero tolerance for cultism and all manner of indiscipline in the state. Bassi Ewa was speaking during his first press briefing after his arrival and inspection of quarter guard at the Plateau State Police Command, taking over from his predecessor, retired Assistant Inspector General of Police, Emmanuel Adishino. According to the police boss on the plateau, synergy with other sister security agencies in the state will be prioritized in ensuring the relative peace in the state is sustained. The Northern State Governors Forum has condemned recent killings in communities across Kwara, Katsina, and Benue states, calling for decisive action to end attacks on civilians in the region. The forum, chaired by Gombe State Governor Inuwa Yahaya, expressed condolences to families of the victims and pledged cooperation with security agencies and local stakeholders to strengthen intelligence-led community policing. The condemnation follows deadly attacks in Kayama local government area of Kwara State, Faskari in Katsina State, and Kwande in Benue State, where residents and security personnel were killed. The governors reaffirmed their commitment to coordinated security measures and long-term social and economic interventions to address insecurity. The Kogi State Police Command, in collaboration with the Nigerian Army, local hunters and vigilante groups, has sustained coordinated bush combing operations across parts of the state to flush out criminal elements. The intelligence-led exercise targeted identified forests and remote locations considered vulnerable to criminal activity. Ground patrols were supported by aerial surveillance to track movements and locate suspected hideouts, with discovered bandit camps dismantled to prevent reuse. Police say the operation forced suspected criminals to flee several enclaves, while 8 suspects were arrested at different locations for questioning over alleged involvement in criminal activities. Preliminary findings suggest some of the suspects may have served as informants for kidnapping syndicates. You're live with us on the news. We take a quick break now, and when we come back, we continue with more stories. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, Imo State has a new commissioner of police as Audu Boso replaces Aboki Danjuma, who was recently promoted to the rank of Assistant Inspector General of Police. Addressing journalists during his maiden press briefing in Owerri, the new police boss pledged to consolidate on the achievements of his predecessor while strengthening security across the state. He expressed appreciation to the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, for the confidence reposed on him, and appealed to residents of Imo State to cooperate with the police to ensure safety and security.
My administration will be guided by community-based policing, intelligence-led operations, and a people-friendly approach, ensuring that all actions strictly adhere to the rules of law and respect human rights. I have tasked all area commanders, divisional police officers, and tactical team commanders to serve as a vanguard of peace and a beacon of hope for the people of Imo State. They must work, I repeat, they must work diligently to maintain peace and security across the state, foster public trust, and ensure that policing remain professionals, accountable, and responsive to the needs of the citizens.
Nigeria's defense headquarters states the security partnership with the U.S. centers on capacity building, military training, intelligence sharing, logistics, and strategic talks against terrorism. And of course, right now we have our guest, Darlington Umoru, a security analyst who's based in Lagos, Nigeria, joining us more to tell us, to give us an update on this story and his understanding. Darlington, how would you describe the scope of the current U.S.-Nigeria security partnership?
A wonderful one. Some of us have prayed for a things partnership like this. And the most shocking aspect is that even ECOWAS, when Nigeria is playing the big brother role and has done so much for the sub-regional body has failed to come to the aid of Nigeria, particularly at this time when we need that assistance. AU is nothing to write home about. AU has not also deemed it fit or necessary to come to the aid of Nigeria in whichever way, whether in the form of contributing men or equipment to the war Nigeria is fighting at this time against terrorists. I wonder if this were happening to another country, whether Nigeria wouldn't have rushed to the aid of those countries where her human and financial resources would have been wasted. We have history of how Nigeria has assisted brother or sister states or sister countries. At the end of the day, losing men and equipment and nothing to show for it. Now that America has decided to come in to assist Nigeria in this war, it's a much more welcome development, which must or should be sustained by both countries in terms of partnership.
So what are the potential benefits and the risks of involving foreign teams in Nigeria's counterterrorism operations? Do you see this as significant?
Very, very significant. Many will talk about, say, countries where America has been to. Severally, they have remained there or war has not seen in those places. I tell them that this is not a civil war. This is a different situation that needs the help of a more sophisticated country with more sophisticated equipment, particularly when you weigh in on the equipment that are being beared by these terrorists at this point in time that sometimes outweighs what our Nigerian military are carrying. And so, benefits, yes, they would help us with technology, they will help us with equipment of high sophistication that can help us, even if we cannot eradicate the presence of terrorists in Nigeria. This will help minimize their effectiveness and the damages they are causing in this country. You saw what happened in Kwara State a few days ago. It's alarming. It calls for national mourning. It also calls for a great and a technical approach.
Okay,
in tackling this matter.
But I would like to. All right, apologies for interrupting you. I would also like to understand. I mean, we've talked about the benefits, but are there no risks involved? What are the risks that we see here?
What are the risks? I do not see any risk from my own point of view. What I see are just all benefits. The risk that people are talking about that the war might not end anywhere America has vetoed. That's what they want me to talk about. But for me, I do not see that because the situations are not the same. There's difference between civil war and a country fighting terrorists. Terrorists are pure enemies. Civil war are for your brothers. This is not an intervention of America to take over Nigeria. This is an intervention to help Nigeria win the war against terrorists. And so for me, what risk that they will take away your oil at the end of the day, that has to do with the agreement your country, Mr. President, has had with Trump. If they are in return should be paid for the services they are rendering, that has not been said. And nobody has heard anything concerning that. What is actually attracting Trump to the country has to do with petitions that most Nigerians have written to them, stating that there's genocide against Christians. And Trump has also come out to say that he has discovered that it's not just Christians that are being killed. All those who were massacred in Kwara State, tell me how many Christians were involved in the 100 and almost 200 people that were massacred. How do you describe that?
Okay, but
Trump has since discovered that and has shifted away from that policy or that ideology, that idea that stated that Christians alone were being killed in Nigeria. The war terrorists don't know who you are, whether your religion or tribe.
Okay.
If they are Muslims, then they shouldn't have been killing Muslims, but they kill even Muslims the more.
All right, very quickly, what do you think Nigerians should understand about the balance between international cooperation and national sovereignty in partnerships like this?
This is partnership in terms of, this is partnership in sovereignty. It has not affected the sovereignty of Nigeria as a nation because it's an agreement. partnership in agreement is sovereignty sovereignty plus sovereignty coming together to help fight terrorism that has become a global menace across the world today. Terrorism is not existing only in Nigeria, it's existing everywhere in the world. And what America has come out to defend is to see how they can fight or reduce the menace being caused by terrorists across the world. And if Nigeria becomes a beneficiary, then it should be applauded.
All right, thank you so much for joining us to discuss the Nigeria-US relations, and definitely we'll see how this turns out. Coming up on the news, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer's job on the line as Labour MPs break rank over Mandelson's scandal. The details of this after the break. And let's talk business. The federal government has begun a comprehensive review of the National Agricultural Growth Scheme and Agro Pocket Project, following strong output across 4 farming seasons. Officials reported 2.54 million metric tons of produce valued at 2.31 trillion naira, boosting food availability and easing prices. The Minister of State for Agriculture said the review will identify gaps, strengthen delivery, and improve impact. The program supports 6 staple crops and distributes subsidized inputs digitally to farmers nationwide. Nigeria has recorded an estimated 6 trillion naira gain from downstream petroleum sector reforms within the first 9 months of 2025, according to the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. Speaking at the Nigerian International Energy Summit in Abuja, NMDPRA Chief Executive Saidu Mohammed said the gains resulted from full deregulation, reduced fuel imports, increased gas utilization, and naira-based petroleum sales. Now, Egypt's headline inflation is expected to slow to 11.7% in January from 12.3% in December, according to a Reuters poll of 18 analysts. The forecast decline is attributed to favorable base effects, easing food prices, and a stronger Egyptian pound. Analysts also expect core inflation to edge down to 11.5%. Inflation is falling sharply from a record 38% in September 2023, aided by an $8 billion IMF support package signed in 2024. Slowing price pressures prompted Egypt's central bank to cut interest rates by 100 basis points in December. January inflation data is due for release next week. Now, the news continues in East Africa, where the African Union says a recent drone attack by the M23 rebel group on Kisangani Airport in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo may amount to an act of terrorism. The chairperson of the African Union Commission, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, condemned the attack as a serious violation of international law that endangered civilians and infrastructure. The Rwanda-backed M23 claimed responsibility for the strike last weekend, marking a significant escalation in the long-running conflict in that region. He expresses his deepest concern and strongly condemns the drone attack carried out against Kisangani Airport. And now, outside of Africa, senior U.S. and Iranian officials are set to meet in Oman for direct talks amid rising tensions and fears of military confrontation. The talks follow the U.S. military build-up after Iran's crackdown on protests that rights groups say killed thousands. Now, Washington wants Tehran to freeze its nuclear program, discard enriched uranium, address missiles, regional proxies, and rights record, while Iran insists discussions focus only on the nuclear issue. The Iranian delegation will be led by Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, who last week said his country's armed forces were with their fingers on the trigger, while the U.S. will be represented by Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Now, Prime Minister Keir Starmer has apologized for appointing Peter Mandelson as U.S. ambassador in 2024, following renewed scrutiny over Mandelson's past links to Jeffrey Epstein. Opposition leaders Ed Davey and Kemi Badenoch are calling for votes of confidence, while Reform leader Nigel Farage has branded the controversy the biggest scandal in 100 years. Pressure is also growing within Labour, with MPs including Rebecca Long-Bailey and Rachel Maskell describing the decision as a serious misjudgment. On a quiet day in Kwara State, over 160 Nigerians were killed in a single village attack. Entire communities were wiped out, homes burned, families erased. And once again, the country woke up to numbers and not names. Now, Kwara is simply the latest mirror held up to Nigeria's failing security architecture, regardless of the efforts made by the U.S. to assist. From the northwest to the middle belt, from farming communities to highways, Nigerians are living in a state of permanent vulnerability. Attacks happen, statements follow, troops are deployed, and then silence until the next tragedy. Now, what makes the Kwara attack particularly disturbing is how predictable it was. Rural communities with little or no security presence, long response times, no early warning, no deterrence, and these are not new gaps. They are old wounds that keep reopening. We're now at a point where the question is no longer whether insecurity exists, but whether human life still carries urgency in policy decisions. How does a country process the killing of over 160 citizens without a national reckoning? How do communities mourn while knowing nothing will change before the next attack, not even knowing when the next attack will happen or where? Security has become reactive and not preventive. That's your postscript. Now, before we go, let's take a look at what's happening in the sporting world. Nigeria's Ademola Lookman enjoyed a perfect start to life at Atletico Madrid after scoring the 100th goal of his professional career on debut against Real Betis. Favor Itua is here with more details. Favor, are you ready for us?
Yes, of course, Blessings. Nigeria's biggest mover in the January transfer window, starting his career at Atletico with a goal and assist, and it's been talks about what he would bring to Diego Simeone's side at the Wanda Metropolitano. We'll be talking about more of that during in the game.
Most definitely. Well, you've heard it, stay tuned in the games. And that's all from here on the 12 report. Remember to send in your INEC report to the WhatsApp number on the screen, because we want to see what you see. Also, do also follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Go TV channel 23, Star Times 274, Avo TV, and of course, live on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Blessings Masugu.